Hey folks, my name is Pravus, and welcome to more Plague Inc. Evolved with our custom scenarios. Now, a new scenario that caught my attention today is called The Fire Rises, created by Nyanstay0808. And the reason I thought this might be interesting is because I know that there is a HoI4 mod, also called The Fire Rises, which is intended to be kind of a modern era mod around the time of the coronavirus, with a few tweaks here and there. And as we can see from the description, this is in fact supposed to take place in the Hearts of Iron 4 mod. So okay, let's give this one a go. The year is 2020, the United States and Iran are locked in a Cold War-era standoff with a new novel virus that has been spreading uncontrollably through China. A bunch of other nations are bracing for impact in the markets. The Syrian civil war has entered an uncertain phase. Tensions rise in America. The strain in China is becoming untenable. Lots of stuff along those lines. We'll see just how much of the story actually gets revealed in this scenario in Plague Inc., but I'm very curious what the developer can do. For our virus, we'll just go ahead and use the ATP boost, genetic mimic, aquacytic humophile, and symptostasis. I've got no problem with that. I'll even play on Mega Brutal because how many COVID scenarios have I done at this point? The relatively calm 2010s have been replaced by a chaotic 2020s. The Saudi civil war has unleashed a global oil crisis impacting nations worldwide. Tensions rise in the Pacific and Europe as nations eye to expand their influence while the United States collapses due to political polarization. Political polarization in the US? What is that? This is obviously a work of fiction. Ha ha ha. Oh, kill me. The volatile situation in the US has led to a total collapse of Wall Street. There's going to be economic crisis, etc., etc. Basically, wealth and urbanization has changed dramatically. Now, we do have to start in China. Not generally speaking, my favorite place to be. Looks like China only has urban as a modifier here, so okay. US is... it seems like some stuff got shifted around here for some reason, but the US is actually considered to be a poor country. Looks like most of Europe would still be considered to be wealthy, not the United Kingdom, but Germany and France are doing just fine. Canada, the Dominion of Canada, is looking all right. I'm just looking at some of the demographic changes here and wondering what's going to be interesting. The Russian Federation is considered to be a wealthy country. Okay, that's going to make it a little bit difficult, I think, to use them to get into places like Greenland, but we still have to try. So going for our wealth transmission is going to be very, very important for us. Okay, anything else that's going to be different when it comes to transmissions? Answer, yes, we have quite a few things. We've got SARS similarities. Yep, very similar to the SARS-CoV. I remember that being a thing. MERS similarities, and of course, pangolin outbreak. Right, the pangolins. Yeah, it was never really confirmed for sure if COVID was from a pangolin or something else. I have no idea. Some people said bats, some people said pangolins, who knows. Anyway, we do have bats and domestic animals as an option, as well as rodents, livestock, direct contact, so fomites. Incubation period, the virus establishes itself silently, delaying symptom manifestation. Slightly increases infectivity, reduces severity. That's a reasonable trade-off, but not for DNA. Not for 9 DNA, that's not a good trade-off. I still obviously want to go for things like the air and for the water. We have fever, we have exhaustion, and we have coughing by default. Okay, none of those are horrendous except for the fever with that lethality. Sweating, insomnia, anemia, immune evasion is going to be an option. I wonder if this actually helps you in the wealthy countries. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And of course, sneezing, very good trade. We'll be picking that up for sure. We've even got some custom abilities here. So we have our standard resistance options. Then we've got the hand wash tolerance. So apparently washing your hands is not good enough. The Fire Rises, the cure is going to slow down as mass hysteria triggers stock crashes, supply chain failures, and global recessions. Okay, and then environmental hardening is also going to be an option. Interesting indeed. Okay, well, in the in China, I would say that rodents probably would make the most sense as a starter, simply because the only real modifier we have to work with here is going to be the fact that it's an urban nation. Now, of course, the problem I have with Mega Brutal and China is, well, when we hit critical mass here, we're going to spread very, 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 very quickly, and that's going to end up becoming a problem for me because everything is going to become more expensive with a genetic drift. So expect high costs in the future. Rumors swirl in Wuhan about a strange pneumonia filling hospitals, whispers of bodies piling up, while officials insist there's no evidence of a plague. The state media plays it off as a hoax and a conspiracy. Yeah, it's definitely somehow the Americans' fault, probably. You guys remember that, by the way? That was a thing back in the day. We're like, we're pretty sure we found it came from a lab in Wuhan. They're like, no, No, it was the United States who did it, if anyone. But also, like, there is no plague. Oh, wait, there's a plague. Lock it all down. Oh, it was ridiculous. The whole situation, the world changed, man. It really did. The world changed a lot, but I don't want to get too far in the political side of things. I think you can all figure things out from there. I'm going to go for the early drug resistance just because it will help in places like China, though we're starting to infect very rapidly anyway. I'm really concerned about getting into places like the Russian Federation, getting into Greenland, but also we really need to get on some air travel. And now that we're spreading rapidly in China, it would make sense to do that now. Go ahead and use those airports, get into the USA. Being poor is such an unusual thing there. I can't really, I'll be honest, I can't really think of a United States being poor like that. Maybe I should think about that. I don't know. What else we got here then? So do we want to go for, I mean, humidity infection? Starting off in China, we don't have any cold or heat resistance. I'm going to go for a level of cold and heat, probably at least one of each, just to give myself a small boost, but we really need to continue focusing on things like the infectivity. So let's go ahead and grab some more air transmission, get me around a little faster. We're getting into places like Japan, which is doing fine. It's the state of Japan. Okay, oil prices skyrocket. Meant to read that, but I caught the title of that one at the very least. Let's go for the water. There is still an extreme bioaerosol, so that's good. Livestock, domestic, so domestic animals also would have been a good option instead of going for the rodents. I do find that direct contact and some extra fomites can be good, especially since we will need to spread faster in places like Europe, which, by the way, is not spreading very quickly. In fact, we're barely touching Europe. That concerns me a lot. Okay. Recently, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic as cases surged worldwide. The classification triggered unprecedented international emergency responses, including travel bans and lockdowns, affecting 3.9 billion people. An American Taliban peace deal. Surprising. The Doha Agreement was signed. Troops withdraw in May 2021 in exchange for Taliban counterterrorism guarantees. Critics warn of the Afghan government exclusion and an imminent collapse. Ah, yes, another thing that we don't like to talk about if we can avoid it. Let's go over some of that drug resistance. I really need to start spreading faster in Europe, and we're not getting anywhere there. I thought that the air transmission was going to do me a lot of work there, but it turns out, no, not really. I've got a bad feeling about how this scenario is going, if I'm honest. Let's go ahead and grab more direct contact, more infectious than the common cold. That's really nothing surprising there. I think that Iceland is a wealthy country in this scenario. It is the Republic of Iceland, so that's going to be interesting. India has been overwhelmed by COVID-19. Patients suffocate without oxygen while funerals run day and night. Yeah, so now we're in the two most populous countries of the world, and that just has to mean that my genetic drift is going to be very, very painful. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but what can you do? The fatality has gone way too high. We have got to get rid of that hemorrhagic shock. Sounds fun and all, but actually would be bad. Let's go for a level of the heat resistance. We're not spreading fast in places like Africa and stuff as well. We need to make sure we keep doing that, as well as spread in places like South America. How are we doing as far as the rest of the world? So Greenland and Papua New Guinea are the only two islands that we are missing. So that's a good sign. If only I had birds as a transmission. Does bats work for land? It doesn't say that. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for land transmission, because then I'd really feel secure in what's going on. We could pick up some bats and then just try for some mutation chance. That wouldn't be bad. I think instead I'm going to go for direct contact level 3, really boosting up the rich countries. There appears to be something special here. If I really wanted to go down the incubation period, we'd be able to do something special, maybe very powerful. But with our genetic drift, I just don't think that that's going to end up being a very, very good play. Environmental hardening, maybe, humidity infection. I really don't think I need that either. I think we can actually just sit back for a second, store up some DNA. We should be getting around in Europe a lot faster now. So yeah, it's really going to come down to places like Africa. Was there anything about insects? No, we don't even have that. So yeah, we got really nothing working for you here. I'm kind of wanting to grab incubation period because I think I can just skip the other two, and I'll bet you this unlocks the final thing here. Let's just find out what this is. Extreme asymptomatic contact. Oh, that sounds like fun. Hosts unknowingly will spread the infection for months. Holy crap, I just knocked my webcam straight off of my computer. Pardon me, that may have sounded a little bit weird. Anyway, significantly increases infection and reduces severity. But see, I don't want to reduce the severity by much. That doesn't sound very good to me. We have the inflammation. That's a little fatality, but not much. Let's go for the sweating. That'll lead to seizures, vomiting. Vomiting's cheap. We'll pick that up. Diarrhea. Yeah, I'm just looking to see what other options we're going to end up having and kind of give us a decent chance for the mutation to carry us to victory. So the cure is 25% of the way complete. We're going to have to go for some genetic hardening, just slow that down a little bit. Still not seeing boats going where I want as far as Greenland. I mean, Russia is fully infected, Norway is fully infected, and they haven't shut down their ports. Excuse me, what gives? 42 DNA for genetic hardening level 2? I can't justify that. I cannot. We could pick up Insanity. That extra severity might lose me the game, but I can't really afford to wait. We have to. Nationwide protests in the United States following the tragic death of Quinton Evans, an African-American man who died in police custody. Protests have erupted across the nation, leading to LA riots. Well, I mean, it's LA. You know, what else is new, right? Let's go for some paralysis. I'm just slowing down the cure at this point, buying me some time, praying that something gets in here. Vladimir Putin dies of COVID-19. The Russian state news propagated the narrative that Putin was on the road to recovery this morning. Those hopes were dashed. He has died. Wow, okay. Interesting choice there. All right, so I'm seeing Norway shut down, and I'm still seeing absolutely nothing out of Russia. This is reminding me of the last Plague Inc. video I did. You've had so much time to send a single boat, and the game is insisting on just messing with me. Let's go for that coma. Wait, is that it? That's the one. All right, what's left? Morocco. The Kingdom of Morocco is all that remains. Gotta say, I like that there's gonna be a lot of apparent monarchists or non-aligned routes. Feels very Hearts of Iron 4 appropriate. Anyway, Prince Rebellion in Saudi Arabia. Ripples have spread throughout the global community with the announcement of armed hostilities in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia following the death of King Salman al-Assad. Oil prices spiked over 250%. No kidding, the global economy is going to be thrown into chaos. Absolutely it is. All right, so we seriously need some death here. Neural atrophy might help a little bit as far as the cure. Yeah, immune hijacking. What I really want is that hemorrhagic shock back. That would have been nice. Seizures, paranoia. I think what I have to do is literally just slow down the cure and buy time for things like the mutation to win this for me. Total brain death, for example, could be a thing, and if I can just kill faster, we'd be a little bit better off. COVID-19 has been classified as an existential threat, all right? So it's going to be uncontrolled mutations, healthcare system collapses, and 15% excess mortality. There is, after all, a certain mortality rate technically allowed, where it's not a mass extinction event, it's just going to severely hamper humanity, but you can theoretically recover. One thing that's weird about viruses, and this is something I learned about, throughout things like COVID, apparently a lot of viruses will start off more lethal, but because they kill their hosts, they're not the strain, a mutation strain that tends to survive. It's usually the less symptomatic, less lethal strains that end up surviving long term. So technically speaking, unlike what you see in Plague Inc., a lot of viruses, I'm not going to say all because I'm not a pathologist, but a lot actually can start off more lethal and gradually lose that lethality over time. Kind of interesting, right? Anyway, European Union declares a state of emergency. Geez, I can't imagine why. So this is very cheap. I'll pick up the total brain death, but then I think we throw everything we've got toward things like a genetic reshuffle, especially since that cure is going very, very fast right now. I am concerned about whether we'll kill too fast in parts of Africa, but let's just go ahead and slow down that cure to start. No necrosis is a problem. I'm not gonna lie, that is a problem. Grab that genetic reshuffle. We might even need to get a second one. How much damage does that do? A pretty decent amount. Yellow Vests protests intensify due to COVID-19, all right, in Paris. Ah, yes, another place that is known for liking to have, we'll call them protests. Or strikes, I guess is the word they prefer to have, but Anyway, what else we have here? So, what else we want? Really though, what do we want? I think I need another level of heat resistance. I'm only worried about falling apart in West Africa, but that heat resistance was enough to do the job. So if we just keep buying back some genetic reshuffles, we should be able to win this. There are no healthy people left in the world. One more round of this for 33 DNA will be kind of my maximum benefit. I don't know if we're going to get... Nope, we got one more DNA point. Perfect. Go ahead and reset that back down to 65%. And the entire world shall now die. The fire has indeed been rising. Oh, now everyone who's remaining is paranoid. Well, good news. There's not a lot of people left to be paranoid about. So there we go. And just as the last person on the planet dies, they declare a war in the Congo. Okay, yeah, you know, you got your priorities straight. That's great. You know what? YOLO, right? You only live one. I'm about to die, like, in the next 20 minutes. Screw it. I'm declaring a war. I'm the last person. I'm allowed to do it. Anyway, there we go. 370 days is actually faster than I thought. I felt like it was a little bit of a dragging scenario, but that kind of worked for me. 65% cure progress, 60,000 points for 2 stars, even on Mega Brutal, first time seeing this scenario. That actually played out surprisingly well. It is actually a pretty well-balanced scenario if I'm able to do things like that, and it does seem pretty true to the Hearts of Iron 4 mod. Now, I won't pretend that I played the Fire Rises very much. There's a lot of pretty good modern era types of scenarios out there. I do think this one's interesting, though. It's got a decent amount of alternate Earth stuff. That makes it pretty fun to play. So if you guys want to check that out for Hearts of Iron 4, you can certainly do that. Otherwise, of course, I will say let's give this one a thumbs up. It is a solid scenario. Very well done. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe to that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.